Hey, what's up, guys? Tookie here, back again. Look at this. This is weird, isn't it? No webcam. It's only because I was too lazy to turn it on. But we're back again to talk about some rosters on the NHL 24 side of things. And this video is going to serve as a little bit of an overlook at the Vasi roster that I want to showcase, as well as me kind of updating you guys on what the status is for my particular files at this point, because there's a lot to that. But I don't want to bury the lead here. The important thing about this video here is what Vasi is doing, and it ties into what I'm going to mention later on, into what I've mentioned before. Now, I meant to do a video about this last month when Vasi put out roster update number 6, I believe, because they went ahead and added in the PWHL teams, which I think is tremendous. And now, within the past 2 days, this most recent roster update has come out, which has a lot of other cool things. And having conversations with Vasi in regards to how I do things with the rosters and some of the little kind of tweaks that I've discovered over the years that, you know, help the game run a little bit more smoothly. Vasi's taken a lot of that, put his own spin onto this, and you know, bottom line is it's a really, really good product that Vasi's putting out right now. You know, when I mention one of those things, right, we can look at Artur Akchimov, for example, a Leafs prospect, where, you know, just one of those little details is the draft year. And you'll see it in the description, Vasi mentioning the draft year as a big thing, and it is a big thing. God, I forgot where the hell it was. I went right past it. I was losing my thought, losing my mind. With the draft year, if you put it as the actual draft year, should the player be old enough, like 22, 23 years old, if they're a UFA, say they're in college, the AI will drop them at the end of season 1. If you put the draft year as late as you possibly can, it gives the AI more time to sign people and helps the really dumb franchise mode AI be a little bit smarter. So there's stuff like that. And I know Vasi's currently in the process as well as kind of updating the rating system, which is going to be, you know, taking a similar approach to mine, I think, is the right way to put it. But again, with Vasi's own spin on it, you're not going to see the decision of 99 attributes like I use to try and get some key stats down. But it is the general idea of trying to replicate players a little bit more closely. You know, okay, what should this guy's, you know, shot blocking be and his body checking? I think you see that with someone like Troy Terry. This set of attributes for Troy Terry is a hell of a lot more close to what I have as opposed to what EA has. And I do think that is a really good approach by Vasi right now moving forward, is to do the best you can to get it set up that way. Although in saying that, I do see 99 strength is actually a pretty common one. That caught me off guard. I knew it was up towards like a 90 for some people. And honestly, that's a really smart, shrewd move. Strength is one of the highest weighted attributes in this video game, meaning you need to put less points on that to get someone's overall to go up than you would need to put on poise, for example. So that's a really shrewd move, actually. Credit to Vasi there. But, you know, the whole point in mentioning this is that if you are on the Xbox Series kind of community side of things, I was going to say the ecosystem, but God, that sounds official and cringe. If you are on the Xbox, you know, Series S, Series X, I can't give these the highest recommendations enough. I can't. I think Vasi is doing tremendous work here. There are still things, of course, that I think could be debated in regards to certain overalls and stuff like that. But that's the beautiful thing about it, right? Is there's no one way to do it. But at the very least, we can agree it's better than what EA provides. And that is kind of the point at the end of the day. So in regards to keeping everything updated, this new rating system, I mentioned the roster update from about a month ago, and I meant to do a video on that because, again, adding in the PWHL as well, which I think is just tremendous. And I've been meaning to do it. I haven't done it yet because I've been very tied up on the Twitch side of things with an NCAA 14 revamped football Dynasty mode. It's a lot, but NCAA 14 revamped. We've been doing a lot of that over the past little bit on the Twitch side of things on a basically nightly basis. But this is probably what we're going to be taking a look at once I'm done with that run. You know, we did a run on Twitch with Snipe and Scores 1999 to 2000s roster, which was tremendous. I have a video out kind of breaking that down and the great fucking work that Snipe is doing. And to me, this is no different. I think Vasi is absolutely killing it right now. And I don't know. I think maybe some people might expect me to be like, oh, it's not that good. But no, I literally can't hate on Vasi at all. I think Vasi is doing absolutely incredible work and really kind of carrying the torch at this point. You know, for a really long time, not to say Tactics doesn't still put out videos as well about custom rosters and files, but, you know, for a really long time, it was people like myself and Tactics really kind of carrying the weight and the charge about, hey, roster sharing and stuff like that, and roster editing. And then I think you had Snipe and Score show up and do such a good job with the flashback rosters. And now Vasi, with the time and effort and dedication, is taking this to... And shout out, of course, to the Burnaby Cha-chings. I still appreciate that greatly. You know, Vasi is doing such a great job right now, and it puts me into an interesting spot. And I'll segue to that in a second, but just to show you, of course, whether or not it be flashback teams or the Houston Coyotes or alternate versions. I mean, just even the effort and the attention to detail in the creative teams, right? Like, okay, Minnesota, their new full-time look is the subway look and stuff like that. I mean, again, I think it's just absolutely tremendous across the board. Now, obviously, for the PWHL, if I run it in franchise mode, we'll have to joke about who's on the team. You know, if Marcus Johansson gets drafted, we'll have to rename him Mary Johansson or something like that, even though we can't actually rename players, but you get the point. It might be better suited for a season mode, but again, highest of recommendations. And as well, the All-Star rosters have also been updated. I don't remember if there's a subsequent update to come, but he's done a great job of updating the All-Star rosters as well. As you can see here, you have Team Hughes, which again, I believe to be accurate. Obviously, you got a couple of examples that aren't, hey, shout out to Nikita Kucherov. It's a little bit updated. Obviously, you got some 36s in there. You know, it works, but it doesn't. You do the best with what you can, given with the rosters. But again, it's that effort, right? At the end of the day, it is that effort. Oh, I forgot you had the Goonfish in here too. Vasi. Nothing but love for you. And a friendly reminder, of course, in terms of the files, again, what you want to look for is pretty simple. The creator tag is Vasi roster. And of course, Vasi roster update, whatever number is there. Again, these two individuals right here have my highest of recommendations, and they deserve as much support as you can possibly give them because they make this game better. To that point, what's my status right now on the roster editing side of things? I am still working on it, but it is a slow and steady approach. I talked about it last year as NHL 23 perhaps being the last year for me to do this. NHL 24 as it stands might be the last time I do anything roster editing related, unfortunately. The state of EA's default rosters, their provided rosters, I should say, even the most recent roster update, they are absolute trash. A look at what Troy Terry looks like for me, by the way, compared to Vasi. Again, not all that different. EA's rosters are so bad that it is taking me a really long time with a lot of time and effort to try and get this project done and where I want it to be in here. I'll give you guys a preview because I do have the entirety of the NHL done. I am currently, and some people might get upset about ratings already, and that's fine. I am currently working on the AHL, trying to get to where I want to go and to where I want this roster file to be. because it helps make the game interesting for me throughout the entirety of the year, instead of just the idea of, using EA's rosters, so to speak, right? Like if I use EA's rosters, I will do a franchise mode and then probably not touch the game again for the rest of the year. Just because, again, to me, that quality is absolutely horrific. So I'm in the standpoint now where I'm kind of just trying to enjoy the process, not viewing it as a job, and just chipping away at it where I can. It's a passion project at this point. And the fact of the matter is I don't have as much time as I used to. Well, actually, that's a lie. I do, but I'm choosing to dedicate it to different things. When a lot of you would have first become aware of this channel and my, roster editing obsession, I was single. I got married at the end of last year on November 4th, so it's like my personal life in that time has changed a lot. There's just things like that where, I don't have as much time, or so much of my free time before would have just been like, yeah, screw it. I'll just sit here and chip away at this and be able to do it relatively quickly. It's a combination of not having that much time anymore and the fact that the quality provided from EA has gotten significantly worse, that it now takes me forever and a goddamn day. As well, I've talked about this before in terms of my process here. And, I'm utilizing so much different information, including the NHL Edge website, which was the NHL's own analytics platform that's been launched. And that's really helped with skating speeds that are pretty damn well accurate now, because it's just flat out how fast somebody is, their shot power, stuff like that. Like, I've continued to expand the formula to make things closer to accurate as possible and to not make every player feel the same. But at that same time, when the provided rosters are as shit as they are, it just means I'm having to fix and address that much more. So to answer the question, like, I thought I'd be getting ready around here at the beginning of February to put the custom roster out. I wouldn't bank on it this month at this point. For me, I'm aiming now with this whole taking my time approach. I'm aiming for the end of the NHL season, the end of the regular season. That is, I still have the AHL to do, which goes faster than the NHL. The NHL takes the longest amount of time easily because there's much more readily available information. And don't expect call-ups and send-downs and jersey numbers to be correct, by the way, either. I do that at the very, very end. So don't worry about that. It's just one of those things where it's frustrating because I am still as passionate as ever about this process. But it's at the point now where I have been a part of the whole EA system for over 5 years. I think we're approaching 6. 2018? Was it 2018 or 2017 that I became involved with that? It's been a while. And while I do feel like aspects of the game are better because I've had that ability to have that direct contact with EA and tell them, hey, here's what I think. Hey, here's what my community thinks. Here's what people are saying. This is what needs to be addressed. This is what needs to be fixed, so on and so forth. I do think together we have made a really positive impact on this game in certain aspects. There are obviously other aspects of the game that, yeah, a lot of people aren't happy with. There's still a lot about franchise mode where, hey, I can sit there and beg and plead based off of what you guys are telling me to, can we get this? Can we get that? How did this game have it 20 years ago, but this one doesn't? And at the end of the day, you can only do so much, At the end of the day, you don't get the final say on what gets changed. And that is where the rosters are right now. Again, the quality of them. That's right, I'm going to blue ball you a little bit and only show you Chicago. The quality of their rosters right now, to me, are horrific, and I'll give you an example instead of just generalizing, right? Why do I think the rosters are horrific? I think it's a top-to-bottom thing. If we click on Troy Terry, and here, so that you can compare the same player with my rosters, Vassy rosters, and what EA provides. This is what Troy Terry looks like in the new update for EA. It's the most generic, nondescript thing and setup you could possibly see. And I've said this to them before. You can look at my rosters, you can look at Vassy's rosters, and you can look at EA's rosters. Sometimes it's going to be impossible to guess who it is. But if you're a Ducks fan that watches every game and you see this, are you going to know that's Troy Terry? Just aside from the fact that he's got a few 90s in there, so it's probably one of the higher rated guys on the team. You know, there's no substance to this. You get into the conversation about, well, here, let's look through a player, right? And you have a lot of just totally off the mark fighting tendencies. You'll obviously still get a lot of players with, improper handedness in the CHL. A lot of player positions and player types are just either out of date or just horrifically incorrect. You have a lot of X factors in this game that, yes, you could argue make certain aspects of like EASHL more realistic or something like that, but not really. There are ones here that you can't quantify. You cannot quantify it's tricky. There are no numbers to look at to show this guy is better at deking than this guy. But the information is out there to see who has more deflection goals than anybody else. Zach Hyman, I believe, is the answer, by the way. Actually, in fairness, he might be beauty backhand because Jesus Christ, Zach Hyman's really, really good. But that's the point, right? There are certain ones you can't quantify, no contest. You just can't. Who wins more puck pickups? I mean, well, then again, I think there was a stat that was out there for this that wasn't quite perfect, but it was okay. Very similar to It's Tricky, but let's use shocking off at the toe drag. We know that Matthews and especially Connor Bedard have a sick shot out of the toe drag, but you can't really quantify that, You can't quantify who spins the best. So there are some X factors that are just like, it feels like they assign them for the sake of it. And then you already saw with someone like Troy Terry, 85 body checkings, ridiculous. But you're boosting that up there to get someone to a certain overall. And it's like, well, shit, if you're going to give him, here, let's see, if you're going to give him 90 passing, give him 95, drop that down to an 80, and he's still an 87. And I'd argue that's closer to realistic than what it's set to, Shot pass slider is so huge for franchise simming, and for so many people, it's so horrifically inaccurate. Like, I've come up with formulas and methods to try and make things as accurate as possible for them, for the players, that is. And I'm really, really happy with my system. I'm really, really happy with how the game plays, how the game sims, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's taking me so goddamn long to edit because every single player is set up just like I told you and showed you how Troy Terry is set up. It sucks. It just sucks. And I've campaigned like hell, not just for myself, but for tactics. He will tell you this. For snipe and score, he will tell you this. For Vassy, the other two can tell you this because Vassy's not a part of the whole EA thing. I have campaigned so goddamn hard for change and for them to get either somebody in there or a group of people in there that have a passion about this. Because if you improve the rosters, you improve franchise, you improve Be a Pro by default. And I'm just getting kind of tired of banging my head against the wall. I mentioned playing a lot of NCAA on stream lately. And I have a blast with that game. It doesn't matter to me that the rosters are out of date because who gives a shit? But for whatever reason, for me, for the NHL side of things, it ruins the experience for me when every fucking player feels the same. And most of them do. I activated my rosters again, did I not? Yeah, I did. My rosters are a combination of accuracy, but also letting people have fun, right? An example of that, we didn't get to the team, is Edmonton. Now, 95 is the highest I'll give somebody. Look at how many 99s there are for Connor McDavid. And you know what? Why not? Why not? I hate the company with a passion But WWE 2K, they made Roman Reigns like a 99 overall because why the fuck not? The guy who's, in that instance, booked the strongest should be this unbeatable monster. Well, in this instance, the best player in the world should be a nearly unstoppable monster. And he is. And I don't see the problem with making McDavid absolutely absurd. What's the issue with that? It's stuff like that that just puts me in this position where, again, I'm as passionate about this as ever. I want to continue doing this. I enjoy the process. But in terms of grinding out this process as fast as I possibly can, that's not worth it to me right now. And there's a chance that just doing this process in general, that the juice isn't worth the squeeze anymore. Trust me, I enjoy playing this game. Like this past August, I mean, I'm not sitting here to frickin' pat myself on the back. It's just a fact. Because of you guys, especially that watch me on the Twitch side of things, I was still having success with NHL 23 in August, where, we were doing numbers that most people don't get year round. And that's because you guys are insane. And I thank you for that. And the reason why I had interest in doing it was because of the custom roster. It's now at the point where I'm just like, NHL 25, play it when it first comes out, wait for Vasi's rosters, because at least Vasi's rosters now are the quality that I, don't necessarily have to put in the amount of work that I typically do, even though I still love doing it. Vasi, while again we have those differences, is the perfect in-between for me, between what I like to do and it being an improvement on EA, that's good enough for me. That's all I can say. That's good enough for me to where it's like, okay, I'll just use Vasi's rosters and not do this anymore, just because I'm tired of begging and pleading with a wall to improve the base layer and just not really making any progress. It's where we're at right now. I can only be open and honest with you guys. So is the roster update from myself still on the way? Yes, it is. Is it going to be out when I was hoping it would be out? No. But at the same time, that's what was best for my mental health, was to not just grind away at this process as fast as I could. Because in the meantime, I know that there are other files out there that are worth your time. The effort's been put in. The love and care has been put in, to the point where for some people, my rosters will now be redundant. And that doesn't make me upset. That doesn't make me jealous. That makes me very, very happy. What would make me happier is if a person like Vasi or myself, I certainly wouldn't say no to it, if they actually got a fucking job with the company to do that. That was a dream of mine for a while, and now it still kind of is. But it's now like 50-50. Instead of it just being like, I want to be the roster guy, now it's just let there be a fucking roster guy. Doesn't have to be me anymore. I'd love for it to be Vasi. I'd love for Snipe and Score to be more involved, hands-on with the alumni rosters, because there's a lot of potential here, and these rosters suck. No other way to put it kindly, I'm sorry, but Jesus, these rosters are so generic and mid. Yeah, 77 overall, Glenn Murray. Fucking guy had a 44, back-to-back 40-goal seasons. But we're going to have him as a lower overall than Bill Lasuk. No disrespect, Bill, but they didn't even respect you enough to put your fucking career stats into the game. Anyway, I've ranted long enough. If you've made it to this point, thank you. I love you. Catch me on Twitch every night, basically. Twitch.tv/Tukey24. Make sure to check out the Tukey's Take podcast, where I also bitch and moan about how I think the modern NHL sucks, even though the on-ice product is the best it's ever been. The organization itself is absolute trash. Yeah, and other things and stuff. Twitter, we have the Discord. If the link's not working down below, let me know. I'll post a new one. You can set a Discord link to never expire. It still fucking expires. I hope you enjoyed the ramblings of a madman, and I will see you soonish. At least we got the flashback content for now.